Hi guys, the Benidorm enthusiast here with Benidorm Stuff YouTube channel. This is a news update video for you. There have been a lot of announcements over the last few days. It's been very hard to keep up with, to be honest, but I'll try my best to get the main points out to you and to explain them the best I can. Where to start? It really has been a crazy few days over here. I'm going to start with the curfew that was introduced in our region. That's the Comunidad Valenciana, or the Valencian region if you prefer. It came into effect Saturday night going into Sunday and means that nobody should be outdoors or out on the streets now between midnight and 6 AM. And this will be in place until at least the 9th of December. Obviously, this means that the bars and restaurants have to bring their closing time forward. Last orders is now 11 PM and establishments must be closed by midnight. You must take responsibility and leave in good time to get yourselves home or back to where you're staying before midnight. There are exemptions, for example, people going to and from work, emergency medical situations, or for people assisting with care for the elderly or the vulnerable. Other restrictions introduced include a ban on the sale of alcohol after 10 PM. That's except for bars, hotels and restaurants. So shops, supermarkets, places like that aren't allowed to sell alcohol after 10 o'clock. Parks and outdoor recreational spaces are also closed from 10 PM. They have reduced the amount of people allowed to meet together in a social gathering down to 6. This includes private and public gatherings, so only 6 per table in a bar or restaurant, only 6 people at your house for dinner or for any kind of social event, unless you live together. Nightclubs and night venues are to remain closed. Now, a lot of you have been following the numbers over here in Spain and have seen that our region has had the lowest numbers in mainland Spain for some weeks now. So why all these new restrictions? Well, the simple answer is to keep it that way. There has been a significant increase in numbers in the last few days in the Valencian region, not in Benidorm in particular, but in the whole region. It was to be expected, to be honest, with the high number of visitors moving around from other areas of Spain during the bank holiday 2 weeks ago. The Valencia region is where many people have their holiday homes or just come for the weekend away, so we were expecting this increase, unfortunately. These new restrictions intend to nip this increase in the bud and get our numbers reduced and under control again. The main source of the recent outbreaks is being linked to social events, in particular the youngsters gathering in large groups to party on the streets or in parks or other public areas without taking the necessary precautions such as masks and keeping the social distance. So these new restrictions hope to stop these botellón parties happening and reduce the spread of infection. It's also now prohibited to drink alcohol in any public streets at any time of day. So that was the first major announcement we were sent to deal with. Then, within 24 hours I think it was, the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, approved a new nationwide state of alarm with plans to keep it in place until May next year. Now this is where the panic set in and has spread like wildfire over the internet and amongst the people that live here in Spain. Because the state of alarm was the legal tool used back in March to put us all in full lockdown. But the state of alarm does not mean we're all going into full lockdown again. It does not mean everything will get shut down again. It does not mean international borders are closing. It doesn't even mean that the curfew is set in stone to stay for the next 6 months while the state of alarm is in place. If it is indeed extended for 6 months, the initial state of alarm can only be put in place for 15 days. So what the state of alarm does is gives Spain's regional governments the legal framework they need to limit mobility and freedom of movement bypassing the courts. The government introduced an obligatory curfew for the entire country from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. although the individual regions can move this time 1 hour each way if they see fit. So here in the Valencian region, it stays at midnight to 6 a.m. It also gives the regions the power to restrict movement in and out of the territories if or when it is needed, effectively closing regional borders and prohibiting travel between the autonomous communities should it get to the point that it's needed. The hope is that by using this state of alarm, it will get all the regions on the same page, tackling the virus in the same way and reduce the numbers significantly in time for Christmas. The government have stated they have no intention of returning to total lockdown, which we endured back in March and April, but having seen the rise in infections in recent days, drastic action has to be taken to combat it. With flu season starting now, there will be increased numbers of admissions to the hospitals and pressure on the services with a combination of flu and COVID together, so measures are needed to ensure the health sector is not overwhelmed throughout Spain during this period. I think that's about it. I hope I've covered the majority of your questions, and if there's anything else, please leave us a comment and I'll try and respond the best I can. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at the Benidorm Enthusiast to ensure you don't miss any other major announcements. In other news, the weather is fabulous here. It's a very pleasant 22 degrees. I'll be spending the rest of the afternoon soaking up the sun. Have a great day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Stay safe.